Hello and welcome to another episode of Evolution Exposure. I'm your host, Brandon. This is the show where I talk about my favorite bands and artists that deserve so much more success than they currently have. Today we're going to talk about my favorite lo-fi chill vibes beat producer, whose name is Mount Fujitive. If you've been on YouTube at some point over the past few years, which I'm sure all of us have, then you've no doubt seen this little stream floating around the recommendations page. On one of my many late night romps through YouTube, I came across this stream and my life was forever changed. This is where I first discovered Mount Fujitive. His real name is Magnus and he's from Reykjavik, Iceland, but you would never know it based on his music. He does an excellent job of fusing Asian-inspired guitar riffs over looping drum beats that never fail to transport me to a nice quiet beach somewhere where life is good and there's no worries. His first album, Winter Vibes, feels like a nice 12-minute stroll through downtown. It's late at night, the snow is gently falling, and you're walking with your date to a nice fancy dinner restaurant. Even though it's a short 12-minute album, it puts you in that nice, relaxed headspace. Next came the record Beat Batch 2016, which gave him a more complex sound. He brought in some other producers and hip-hop artists to give it a more developed and mature sound. This is the only album that has any vocals on it, which in my opinion takes away a little bit from his artistry, but not enough to deter me from listening to it. He really hit his stride with his third record though. Oh, and I should mention that all of his records up to this point came out in 2017, so he was a really busy dude that year. But I digress. This album was called Honshu Island and it's my favorite work of his. Maybe that's because I spent 3 months on Honshu Island and it just transports me back to those carefree days. I have a special affinity for the song Tequila. It's one of the first lo-fi songs I ever heard. Oh yeah, and this album clocks in at just under 13 minutes. So it's the perfect album to get those finishing touches done on that last homework assignment. 2018's Ventures brought us a much more hipster, coffee shop-esque feeling Mount Fujitive. He uses a lot more keys and chimes and those kind of instruments to give it a much more jazzy and produced feel. I feel like I should be sitting in my local espresso bar, sipping a nice cup while doing my homework and it's pouring rain outside. In 2019, he dropped his most recent work. It's a 19-song epic called Sanctuary. It's kind of the same structure and feel as Ventures, but he brings back the lo-fi aspects that he ditched in Ventures. He also does an excellent job using ambient sounds and that kind of thing to add levels and textures to his tracks on this album. I think the reason I like Mount Fujitive so much is because his tunes have the power to pluck me out of whatever sadness and negative headspace I might be in and just drop me back into some old memory of the past. Maybe it's exploring Japan by myself or my first date with my girlfriend. His tunes just have some sort of power to get you back into a happy mood. It's all good vibes when Mount Fujitive is playing in my house. Thanks for watching this episode of Evolution Exposure with me, Brandon. I hope you got some new tunes to chill, relax, vibe, game, and study to, or just do whatever you want with. In the next episode, we're gonna talk about a band that literally changed the way I look at music.